My name is Holden Thorne Calloway. I'm 34. I was the bank before I became the battlefield. At 2:12 p.m., my phone pinged. $4,870, Neiman Marcus, Highland Park Village. $1,960, Fendi, same location. $12,000, Jewelers Row, private appointment. $600, spa surcharge. $200 tip. The tip stung more than the totals. They weren't even pretending to be subtle. I stood in the center of my office, one floor below the Novalink Edge war room, where silence cost more than most people's annual income. The city bled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, sunlight on glass and lies. Another ping. Another 1,000. Another reminder, they never thought I'd check. A few feet away, my assistant, Greta, slipped in with her usual discretion, dropping a file without a word. I caught a glimpse of her expression, pity, and that, somehow, landed harder than all the charges combined. I tapped into the secure ledger. Main account, active. Sub-account, card ending in 9021. Issued to Camilla Voss. Linked user, Valentina Riesling. Status, VIP access. My ex-wife. My ex-mother-in-law. They were still shopping on my dime. They hadn't even tried to hide it. The spa's Instagram had them tagged, sipping champagne in white robes, laughing like they'd won something. They had. They'd stolen my last nerve. I opened the penthouse feed. Angle 1, living room, untouched. Angle 2, closet, wide open, shelves stripped clean. Everything branded. Everything charged to me. Then the feed glitched. A red light blinked. The cameras cut. I stared at the static. Seconds later, an email notification popped up. Property authorization, transfer complete. I clicked faster than I could think. 3 properties. All legally transferred. To Valentina Riesling. Signed by me? I leaned forward. The signature was perfect. The curves. The pressure. Even the flick on the T. But I hadn't signed a damn thing. My office door slammed. Greta stood frozen. Your private banker's on line 3. He says it's urgent. I picked up. Mr. Calloway, the voice said, cold and clipped. We've completed the full authorization of your asset delegation request, per your legal proxy. I didn't authorize anything. A pause. I have your signed directive here, sir. Notarized. 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I was still legally married. Still playing nice. Still blind. I ended the call. I tried to breathe. Didn't work. I opened the safe. Secondary backups, encrypted keys, cold wallets, unlinked IDs. Still there. Still safe. For now. I sent one text. Sarah. Code black. I need a trace. And a full dig. Family. Financial. Start with Val. I didn't wait for a reply. I knew she'd move faster than anyone in this city. People always say blood is thicker than water. They forget it's just as easy to drown in it. The last time Valentina looked me in the eyes, she told me, some men were born to fund the party, not attend it. They'd taken the party, the house, the cars, and now, my name. I took the elevator down, watching the floor numbers drop like a countdown. In the lobby, people moved around me. I wasn't the CEO. I wasn't the silent billionaire. I was just another suit trying to stay sane. The valet handed me keys with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. They always know when something's off. I drove without thinking, toward the penthouse. Toward what used to be mine. The skyline tilted. Or maybe I did. A quote hit me. You don't lose your soul in one dramatic moment. You trade it in, piece by piece. And I'd been handing out pieces for years. They just took the last one. If they thought I was just the bank, I'd make damn sure they overdraft their lives. The vault air was colder than I remembered. Steel shelves. Temperature control. The hum of secrecy. I keyed in the first layer of security. A red blink. Then green. The wall slid open, slow and soundless. Like a secret that never wanted to be shared. Inside, old drives, sealed backups, biometric tokens. Things I built when I still believed in protection. I took the Omega flash. Plugged it into my secure reader. Pulled up the logs. 3 months ago. One login from an unrecognized IP. Proxy chain routed through Ontario. Then back to Dallas. Timestamp, 3:44 a.m., March 2nd. The exact hour Camilla had claimed she was visiting her cousin in Phoenix. Of course. Loyalty's not tested when things are going well. It's measured when they think you're not watching. Greta texted, "He's here." Elias Ward. Conference room 9. I closed the vault. Cut to lobby. Cut to glass hallway. Cut to room. Elias stood in his signature gray, sharp suit, paper-thin patience. He used to be our family's money whisperer. He taught Camilla how to structure trusts and Valentina how to manipulate donor-advised funds. He looked up. "You finally called." I didn't sit. "I want names. Transactions. Transfer chains. You sure you're ready for what you'll see?" "I'm past ready. I'm broke, legally stripped, and every asset with my signature has vanished." "That's not misfortune. That's design." Elias slid a folder across the table. Inside, notarized documents with my forged signature. Transfers to Shell Core. Holdings restructured. Cayman account routes. But one thing didn't make sense. This proxy account, why is it in my father's name? He paused. "You never asked why your father's side cut you off, did you?" I stared at him. "This isn't about family beef." "No," he said. "This is about a legacy that was never meant to be yours." Silence. Then, the living trust your father set up was rerouted by Valentina 2 years ago. With his old financial executor. She paid them off. Used you as the legitimacy shield. Every major holding, pushed through your accounts to clean it. I felt the cold again. "You mean I wasn't funding them out of guilt? I was laundering their legacy." Elias didn't answer. He didn't have to. I walked to the window. Below us, downtown Dallas moved like nothing was wrong. Traffic. Flashing lights. Lives untouched. They'd used me like a firewall. And I never saw it. "Where's the paper trail now?" I asked. He pulled out a thin USB. "This is encrypted. If it leaks, Valentina burns. And she knows that. You afraid she'll come for you?" He met my eyes. "She won't. But the one behind her might." "Behind?" He slid over a business card. No name. No phone. Just embossed initials. RL. "What the hell is this?" "Not what?" "Who?" Then he stood. "You didn't just lose control, Holden. You got pulled into something bigger. And now it's awake." He walked out without another word. I stared at the card. RL. Short. Cold. Like a kill command. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. One word, watching. Then gone. My spine locked. I stepped into the hall. No one. But something shifted. Like a breath behind a wall. My chest clenched. The kind of fear that didn't scream, it whispered. If you feel safe, it's because someone let you. I walked fast. Elevator. Down. Parking deck. When I reached my car, the driver's side door was open. Not forced. Not broken. Open. On the driver's seat. A photo. Me. 8 years old. At my mother's funeral. That picture never existed online. Never scanned. Never shared. I looked up. The security camera above had been turned. It faced the wall. They were everywhere. And I was late to my own damn ambush. They weren't spending my money, they were laundering my legacy. I left the parking garage without looking back. Downtown was louder than usual. Too loud. Every honk felt like a warning. Every shadow stretched longer than it should. There's a particular type of silence that comes after betrayal. Not the silence of peace, the silence of knowing. Knowing everything you were standing on was paper. And it's already on fire. Sometimes the people closest to you aren't holding your hand, they're holding your leash. I hit the freeway. Rain started. Just enough to blur the lines. I drove blind, but I knew exactly where I was going. Sarah's lab. Outside, it looked like a rundown tax office. Inside, firewalled sanctum. A neon closed flickered in the window. But the lock buzzed the moment I knocked. Sarah didn't say a word. Just handed me gloves. Vinyl. Cold. Precaution. She led me down. Basement lit in flickering strips. 3 workstations. 5 locked safes. One woman who knew too much about too many people. You're compromised, she said. I Saturday, how deep? Bloodline deep. You were a shell, Holden. A financial decoy in a trust maze. The names behind the flow, they're not just family. Then who? She pulled up a screen. Tapped. A string of transactions lit up. Novomet, Haldarin, Black Summit, names I'd heard in quarterly reports, and closed-door deals. They used your clean record to shuttle money through nonprofits, offshore bonds, even death benefit claims. Most routed through a family office. RL Associates. RL again. What does RL even stand for? Sarah shrugged. Doesn't matter. It's not initials. It's a signal. Real liquidity. I exhaled. Hard. Then I noticed a frozen frame on her second monitor. The penthouse. Security footage. Just before the feed cut earlier. Camilla. Valentina. And someone else. A man. Wearing gloves. No face. Carrying a black case. What's that? Sarah zoomed in. The logo. Subtle, half-faded. AMC Capital. My father's oldest rival. Now rebranded as a discretionary investment group. But I remembered the lawsuits. The buried class actions. The warehouse fire they called unfortunate timing. They're not just stealing from you, Holden, Sarah said. They're building an empire. One asset at a time. Yours was just convenient. Cut. My phone buzzed. A text from Nolan Chambers, my old mentor at Bishop and Wright Legal. Need to see you. Now. Come alone. Office sealed. Don't trust anyone with a title. No context. No signature. Just the exact kind of urgency that tells you someone's burning from both ends. I grabbed the drive Sarah handed me. She didn't ask where I was going. Don't use your car, she said. Don't use anything you've ever logged into from home. I froze. They're tracing? She looked at me for a long second. You're not being traced. You're being watched. Watched like insurance. I left fast. Rented a bike 2 blocks over. Hood up. Head down. Every streetlight blinked slower than usual. Every camera felt like a warning. Chambers building loomed like a mausoleum, dark, sterile, closed for the day. Except the elevator still worked. Top floor. Locked doors. But one was cracked. Inside, Nolan. Slumped over his desk. Alive. Barely. You took too long, he rasped. What happened? He pushed a folder across the desk. Blood on the corner. Real. Inside, filing documents. Asset logs. Notarized transfers. Mandatory federal disclosures that had never been filed. Buried. Why me? I asked. He coughed. Shallow. Because you never fought back. You were the perfect storm, smart enough to build, dumb enough to believe they needed you. His phone buzzed. He flinched. Don't answer it, he whispered. They're already inside the building. The lights flickered. Then everything went dark. Elevator lights. Emergency glow. Silence. I grabbed the folder. My breath hitched. Boots in the hallway. 2 sets. I pulled the fire alarm. The light snapped red. Sprinklers triggered. Chaos bought seconds. I ran. Through the stairwell. 3 floors down. Exit sign buzzing. Outside, cold air hit like truth. Nolan was right. This wasn't fraud anymore. It was a setup. And I wasn't the victim. I was the vault they'd already emptied. I didn't sleep. You don't rest when you know you're being hunted by people who smile in family portraits. I changed phones. Changed SIM. Rerouted through a VPN and sold just to text Sarah. Meet? Now. 1 hour. She replied with a location pin. It blinked near Bishop Arts District, an old speakeasy turned private members club. Classy. Quiet. Secure. It was 6:04 a.m. when I walked in. No music. Just jazz on mute and a bartender polishing a glass like it was a ritual. Sarah was already there. Red hoodie. Baseball cap. No laptop, just a USB drive clipped to her keyring. She didn't waste time. We have a shot. At what? Destroying the paper trail they used to sink you. She slid the drive over. This, she said, is the ledger file from a sub-account buried under AMC's Shell Corp in Barbados. It links directly to a trust created in your name, but used by Valentina to siphon funds from the RL rotation. She paused. But that's not the twist. I leaned forward. She tapped her phone, revealing a video. A security feed. Fuzzy but clear enough. Valentina. At a bank. With Camilla. Signing into a private vault. The date, 1 week before the divorce filing. Those signatures? Not hers. Not even Camilla's. They're yours. I blinked. They forged me? She nodded. And the vault they accessed? It was seeded with bearer bonds and high-value crypto wallets. All logged under your deceased mother's estate. Wait, what? She never had assets. Remember? That's what they told you. I froze. She kept going. Your father's estrangement from you? It wasn't emotional. It was strategic. He set up a silent chain of cold wallets, left it in your name. But Valentina and Camilla got there first. Used your trust code to drain it. Then rerouted everything into AMC's offshore pool. My throat dried. All this time, I thought I was the fallback. No, she said, dead serious. You were the target. A beat. Then she added, tonight's Camilla's birthday. Valentina's throwing her a black tie event at the Madeira Ballroom. I looked up. Public? Private guest list. But I got you in. You want me to confront them? No. I want you to expose them. She handed me a key fob. This gives you access to the ballroom's AV system. Cameras. Mics. Mainframe. Cut. 10:42 p.m. Madeira Ballroom shimmered like a diamond with blood on it. Gold drapes. Crystal chandeliers. People who wore dead like perfume. I moved through the crowd in a charcoal suit, invisible again. On stage, a saxophonist played something slow, romantic, false. I found the control booth. Plugged in the fob. Screens flickered. Live feed. Dozens of angles. Camilla was laughing by the champagne tower. Valentina was talking to an older man in a velvet tux, someone I recognized but couldn't place. Until the camera zoomed. AMC pin on his lapel. And next to him, a man I'd never seen in person. Tall. Pale. No tie. Just cold eyes and a glass of neat bourbon. RL. He looked right at the camera. As if he knew. I stepped back. Then the audio feed caught something. Valentina, it's all transferred. Even if he finds out, it's too late. Camilla, and the Cayman backup? Valentina, moved. He can't touch it. He's locked out. I hit record. Every word. Every angle. Saved. Backed up. Then I heard something else. A whisper in the booth. You should have stayed gone, Holden. I turned. It was Juno. My half-sister. Her eyes were glassy. Her hand holding a syringe. You think this is your story? She hissed. This was always about blood. I tried to move, but my legs didn't. A sharp pinch in my neck. The lights blurred. Voices. Then blackout. They didn't just want to erase my finances. They were erasing me. Darkness. My ears rang before my eyes caught up. First thing I saw, fluorescence. Harsh, clinical. Then metal. Walls. Table. Shackles. They hadn't just knocked me out. They'd taken me somewhere off-grid. No windows. No sound. Except the slow tick of a second-hand, cheap wall clock, dead center. Psychological warfare 101. Pain bloomed in my neck. I touched the skin. Needle mark. Still tender. I guess the leash snapped, I muttered. Footsteps. The door opened like it hated itself. Valentina walked in. No heels this time. Combat boots. Ponytail. Business casual turned executioner chic. Behind her, RL's same cold glass of bourbon in hand. Still not a drop spilled. Holden, she said, voice syrupy. We were hoping you'd sleep longer. RL didn't blink. But here we are. I sat up. You overplayed it. Valentina smiled. No, Holden. You just finally learned the rules. She tapped a tablet on the table. Screens lit up. Footage of me snooping. Stealing files. Entering restricted rooms. Doctored. Staged. I present to you, she said mockingly, the case for corporate espionage. Fraud. Theft. Attempted blackmail. Oh, and a bit of domestic harassment for spice. Every villain needs a mask, I replied, but you forgot, masks crack. You forget, RL cut in, voice low, smooth, truth doesn't matter. Perception does. Headlines. Arrest records. Bail refusals. He tossed a document on the table. Arrest warrant. My name. Real judge. Real nightmare. You'd be surprised what people will believe if you give them the right font, he whispered. I leaned back. You're burning your own house to trap a mouse. Valentina laughed. We already moved out. New shell. New holdings. Cayman was just the appetizer. Then RL stepped closer. You think this is about your money? A pause. He leaned in, breath like ice. This is about legacy. You're a blip in a bloodline, Holden. A temporary password. I didn't flinch. Funny, I said quietly, that you'd risk so much. If I really meant so little. Cut. I was left alone. But not unguarded. A camera in the corner blinked red. Live feed. Watching. I waited. 30 minutes. Then it flickered. Then froze. Then. Click. The door creaked. Sarah. Hair tucked in a cap. Fake badge clipped to her collar. You got 5 minutes, she hissed. How the hell? I pinged the fob when they plugged it into their system. Traced the local IP. It bounced through a fake investment fund. Real address. Guess who pays the property taxes? She grinned. AMC's dead cousin. She unlocked the cuffs. Passed me a flash drive. Everything they said was scrubbed. I unsanitized it. Raw footage. Original timestamps. And she tapped her phone. A live stream popped up. The same ballroom footage. Camilla. Valentina. Confession. Broadcasted. You're not just a ghost in the system now, Holden. You're the hammer. Footsteps. Closer. We ran. Hallways like catacombs. Exit signs flickered like threats. Sarah kicked open a service hatch. Climbed. Rooftop. Wind screamed. Black SUV circled below. Sarah pointed. Jump or stay. But either way, this doesn't end in a courtroom. I ran. Air tore past me as I jumped. Impact. Gravel. Pain. Alive. Barely. Sarah yanked me up. Into the SUV. We drove in silence. Then she muttered, you know they're gonna spin it. Say you hacked them. Say it was revenge. I nodded. Then we flood the system with truth. Drown the lies. Her eyes met mine in the mirror. And what if they kill you first? I smiled, blood in my mouth. Then they'll finally realize I was the wrong person to leave alive. The ballroom was chaos. Flashbulbs. Screams. Suits scrambling. Federal agents pushed through the crowd, their jackets marked with sharp white letters, FBI, SEC, IRS. One by one, names were shouted. Valentina. Camilla. Nolan. Hands raised. Cuffs snapped. I stood at the center. Not in shadow. Not invisible. But seen. Nolan's voice cracked as they dragged him past me. This wasn't the plan. I didn't look at him. Some people lose quietly. Others make noise on their way down. Sarah stood beside me, phone in hand, still recording. Everything they tried to hide is now evidence, she whispered. Nothing they forged will survive the sunlight. Outside, morning had begun to break. Orange split the skyline, like truth slicing through illusion. But the war wasn't over. AMC was crumbling, but its ashes would still choke me for months, hearings, depositions, financial audits. Yet something deeper shifted. Me. I used to believe that being needed was the same as being loved, I told Sarah. She nodded. You were raised in a house that only noticed you when something broke. And when it didn't, I said, they made sure it would. She didn't smile. She understood. Because some people are raised on praise. Others are raised on survival. Cut. 2 weeks later. Quiet town. East Coast. Rental home with creaking steps and sea breeze. I sat on the porch, sipping bitter coffee. Freedom doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like silence that doesn't accuse you. A letter rested on the table. Final transfer. My last AMC shares, liquidated, reallocated. Clean. Valentina had taken a plea deal. Nolan was still fighting. Camilla had vanished, likely to a country with no extradition treaty. And me? I'd chosen to stay in the light. Where scars showed. Where weakness breathed. Sarah parked by the curb. She brought groceries, newspapers, chaos in her steps. Small towns scare me, she said. People here say good morning like they mean it. I smirked. Let them. She sat beside me. Opened the paper. Front page, AMC fraud expose, insider turns witness. My name. Not buried. Not smeared. Just true. You don't need to erase the past, I said. You just need to stop letting it own the future. She glanced at me. You gonna be okay? I stared at the sky, where gulls wheeled in wind that didn't ask questions. I'm not sure yet, I admitted. But for the first time, I'm not waiting for permission to find out. We sat in silence. Then I spoke again. You know the irony? What? I was always the backup plan. The safety net. The bottom rung. Sarah nodded. But it turns out, when you fall far enough, you stop playing by their rules. A long pause. Then she said, so what now? I looked ahead. The sun was rising. Now? I said. We start over. With no one left to steal the pen.